I got some great advice today on how to approach design from a slightly different perspective than what I'd been approaching it from. It was to imagine what you were designing was a toy that you had as a kid, right? And that would kind of help you design it, whatever you were designing, in a way that made it more cool, more just better, really. Which is very interesting, because for a long time I've been stuck. I realise now, after hearing what my instructor had to say, I've been stuck in a way of approaching design that was way too heavily focused on the actual principles of design, right? The design philosophy, that kind of thing, which, don't get me wrong, is very, very important. And I think it will remain the kind of number one when it comes to me designing, right? But that doesn't mean that I shouldn't allow that just kind of straight up cool factor, the thing that you can't really put your finger on too much. I need to allow that to come through my work. And so when I'm looking at reference, when I'm looking at things that inspire me, rather than just looking at them from a purely design philosophy perspective, I should be looking at them from the perspective of, more objectively, I suppose, from a non-artist perspective, from a layman's perspective, right? If you showed that design to someone who hadn't studied design philosophy, right, what would they say about it? And then kind of use whatever comes to mind in that regard to you use whatever you'd say in that context as the focal point of your study of the reference that you're looking at, right? That you'd say whatever you'd say about. So that's definitely going to be the goal in the future. Tomorrow, that will definitely be the goal. I'm not going to do any of the actual homework for the course tomorrow. It's going to be all study. One thing as well that I think I'm not too happy with myself about is the fact that when there's a large amount of when there's a large amount of coursework on my plate, I tend to put personal work to the side, which is not something that I should be doing. It's something that scares me when I begin doing that, because it shows a very clear lack of drive, maybe a lack of something that is important for an artist to have in their mind. So yeah, I think I've been approaching design and creating wrong. I think being inspired by I think that viewing art, right, you should allow what you enjoy, what you love about another's artwork. You should not be scared of letting that into your own work, right? Regardless of whether it might, defy some design principle or other, right? Regardless of whether it maybe doesn't fit a perfect value read of an image, right? Maybe there's a tangent there, but it looks fucking sick, right? You can leave some of these things by the wayside if it leads to a more inspired, a more creative design, right? And that's something that I really need to let myself believe, right? Because God knows, for the past year or so, it's definitely been something that I've not even ignored, that I've literally pushed aside, that kind of element of just raw creativeness, right? And yeah, so that definitely needs to work its way back into my study, my study. I'm hoping that when I rewatch these, I'll notice an improvement in my verbosity, the way I speak. I think definitely just making these videos, keeping this journal, has been very very advantageous for me. And so, I mean, that's it's supposed to be like a really healthy thing to do, right? Is journaling, and the way I'm doing it, rather than just writing it down. I'm speaking into the microphone, which I can't imagine is too different. In the effects, in the benefits it gives you. And on top of that, it gives me it just lets you track yourself, right? It lets you view who you were yesterday, see if you've made any steps forward and steps backwards, because I've definitely made a couple of steps backward. Mental health wise, it's not easy to keep on top of. Obviously, while that is a valid excuse, is something that I can't let remain. So, there's obviously a lot of things to do with myself that I can't talk about on this journal. Personal stuff. But this journal, this training log has definitely helped with me in a universal regard. So I'll keep doing it, see how it goes. I think that element of consistency in your daily life is very, very important, and this has helped me with that. Plans for tomorrow. These are things that I will say I'll do tomorrow, that I must do. And if I don't, then I'll try again the next day, but I must do them tomorrow. So I didn't actually end up waking up before the sunrise. I woke up, got out of bed, realised I'm not gonna fucking do this. Got back into bed like the coward little shit I am. So tomorrow, wake up for the sunrise, go outside, sit outside for a bit. It'll do me some good, go back to sleep. Boom, that's the first thing. Set me up for the rest of the day. Day after that, after that, I will study for an hour, gather some reference that inspires me, try and study it, but rather than quitting when the going gets tough, when you're because when you study art, there's a kind of not everlasting, but there's a prolonged sense of frustration when you don't get something right, when you've not made any progress in the study session. And generally, where almost everyone gives up, including me most of the time, to be honest, where everyone gives up is right before they reach the oasis, right? So you're in a desert, you're crawling. There's you've crawled over 99 sand dunes, say, and over the next one is an oasis. But for some fucking reason, that 100th sand dune is always the hardest to climb over, and for some reason it's where I quit incessantly. And then after the study session, you look back and you realise, wait, I stopped before I should have. I stopped before I reached the oasis. And then, you kind of just feel shit about yourself. So tomorrow, I'm not going to let that happen. I'm going to, in my first hour of study, not even in my first hour, in my first study session, I will come to a conclusion. I will find some kind of oasis. And then that will hopefully plant in me a seed of belief that pushing through works, right? I might be rambling right now. Even if I am, I'm not too bothered, because it's my fucking journal. Yeah, what else? So yeah, study session tomorrow, first one, eat a good breakfast, couple more study sessions after that. Yeah. The thing I'm not really getting about, I'm getting it. The thing I'm not doing enough of is that free time nucleus overload drawing that I mentioned in like the last video, the video before. It really is important to incorporate that into your training, physical training or studying, because we are what we do, right? We are what we repeatedly do, and implementing something like that into your daily life will simply add to that sentiment. So yeah, that's something I also need to do tomorrow. I've got about an hour left before I go to bed. I'll do another hour of study. Yeah, cool.